Hi, it is Monday, May 22nd. This is the beginning of the meeting for the Activating Hubs on June 11th. And I'm sorry I didn't hit record right when we started the meeting. So I'm going to try and go back and cover what you've missed. So the first thing we talked about was the hub roles and the sign up sheet that most of you are, everybody's using. Just kind of trying to see where you guys are. Did you want any modifications to the hub roles? So the consensus was everybody's had enough time to get their own community members, their own neighbors involved and signed up for that. So I will be encouraging other hub captains, other hub volunteers on Thursday, this Thursday, May 25th, to sign up to fill a role. If there's a hole, it's free, sign up for it. So please get your neighbors involved, get anybody in those slots that you can. If you want two people, like you want a hub volunteer, somebody that knows what they're doing, and somebody from your community, just let me know. And I'm happy to turn that one slot into two slots. So lots of customization, but we're really trying to give you time to get your own neighbors into those roles. The other thing we discussed was I'm going to send out two different ways for you to help educate on the fly your neighbors. So the first thing is 4x6 cards, 4x6 cards with the role on the front and a really brief definition, job description on the back. So I will send these out. I will send a link to them in the Google Drive. You can print those. Another option is I will take the information on the sign up, which is a little longer than what's on these 4x6 cards. It's not the 4x6 card and it's not the whole job description. It's kind of a sweet middle ground. I will copy that into a Word document and make that available for printing as well. And you could do some on-the-job training with your volunteers using those. So those two products will be coming out to help you get your neighbors up and running quickly the day of the drill. We talked about promotion. I strongly feel that reaching out to people you actually know and asking them to come. I need you. Please be there. I think that is very, very effective. I think a personal invitation from you is very effective. So if you haven't already, please be reaching out to everybody you can think of, regardless of how you know them. Just say, I'm involved in this. I think it's a really worthwhile cause. It makes our community stronger. Please stop by for 30 minutes or an hour, whatever you can spare, and see how this whole system works. I guarantee you'll be very glad you came by. So encouraging all of you guys to reach out to your neighbors, anybody you know, and get them to come. Gearing up is the next agenda item. I have put an Excel spreadsheet in the Google Drive, and I will send out access to it. The spreadsheet lets me know what things you want. Do you want posters? Do you want laminated posters? Do you need canopies? Just what other stuff do you need? Everybody needs the 6th self-help poster, because that's a brand new one. Nobody in the network has it. So I know that all 6 of you need that, or all 10 of you need that 6th poster. Some of you need ICS 213 forms, which are radio forms. So just trying to get on a spreadsheet, what supplies do folks need to make this a very successful drill? So that's something I need you to fill out so that I can help coordinate. We would encourage you to borrow gear like canopies, especially. That's the big one. Borrow gear from hubs around you. You can get some from me. You can certainly get canopies from Cindy. She has a gazillion. But in order to build relationships between you and the hubs that are surrounding you, those in your same sector, it would be really wise to reach out to them and just say, hey, can I borrow your canopy? So please utilize the resources around you and then turn to Cindy and Ann if you need help with that. forms. I have compiled the forms that most of you will use. Some of you are using some different ones, and that's fine. So the forms that I suggested you print are ones that will be blank and will be filled in at the drill. Before that, I will I plan on filling out some forms so that you can have them staged in your hub when the exercise starts. Because remember, this is day 3 of this power outage. The power went out on Friday, so it is now Sunday. Power's been out for a while. The hub has been operating. So we don't want to start cold. We want papers to be in those organizers, those pantry organizers at the beginning of the drill. So I will help you get those filled out and printed. And I'm not going to stuff them in your pantry organizers for you, but I want to make sure you have those, with the goal being that we want you to be successful right from the start. We want you to be able to make matches between haves and needs right from the get-go and not at the 11th hour. So that is certainly one of the goals of this drill. So print the blank forms, but also be prepared to print ones that are filled out. We will be getting some injects from the city. I told the group that this exercise has been very, very valuable to the hub network and to the city, because we have leaned on the city to prepare injects for this drill, this power outage drill. We're on day 3. The city should have some idea of what's going on. You know, was this a cyber attack? Was this a solar storm? Did somebody, you know, overheat a transformer? This is going to be fixed in 2 weeks. This is going to be fixed in 9 months. You should have power on later today. You know, we should be getting some kind of information from the city. The other big thing is it's Sunday, right? What's going on with school? Schools in general cannot operate won't operate if their fire suppression systems don't work. That's just one of the reasons. That's the safety reason why they won't open up. So parents need to know the school's not going to be open on Monday. And we, the hubs, are the only way to get that message out. So how is the city going to pass that message on? What does it look like? They can't send a paragraph. It takes forever to send messages over ham radio that are voice messages. So the city really has to practice condensing it and getting it out to the hubs so that we can post it and let our neighbors know that there's no school on Monday. I did talk about the stencils. These are for writing on the back of the vest, the orange vest that most of us have. I just want to show you one real quick. Here we go, Hub Manager. These are about 2-inch tall stencils, but you're welcome to use them. I just used a black magic marker, permanent marker, and I wrote directly on the back of the vest that I had. You are welcome to borrow them. There are 2 people already that want to borrow them, but I'm sure we can get everybody done that's interested before June 11th. The other stencil that's out running around is the one that Louise Luthi in Laurelhurst has. Hers are 8-inch letters. She physically bought letters, so you can make your canopies say whatever. But she used those letters to write on fabric, and it's, I don't know, it may be, well, it's, if the letters are 8 inches, it's a little bit bigger than that. So maybe it's a 10-inch high piece of fabric, and however long you need to make it. And she wrote on fabric, traced around these letters, I guess. And she has one of her tents, her canopies is Start Here. So that's the greeter and the information manager. Thought that was really interesting that she's put those 2 people under a canopy with a big sign that says Start Here. I think it's genius. So that's one of her canopies. Her second canopy is education. Her third one is volunteer. And her fourth one is the haves and the needs, the supply tent, the stuff, the stuff people need at 10. I think that's the 4 that she has labeled, but I really thought that Start Here one was just genius. So that's a set of stencils that's running around. Again, 2 people are needing to use that, but people know we need to get through this very quickly. So you don't get a week to sit on these. You get a couple days to sit on these and get it done, and then pass it on to the next person that needs them. Let's see. I wanted to let you know that the parks permits have been requested. If your hub is in a park, the Parks Department knows about it and will be issuing one big permit. I don't know exactly how it's going to come out, but we've done our part. I think this is how we're going to roll out the scripts. So the pieces of paper that your neighbors read, I think we might break it up into 3 envelopes, and your pre-greeter opens up the first envelope and puts all of these scraps of paper in a little pail or whatever, bucket, a box, whatever, and neighbors pick it out and read it. And that's how those enter the hub system. When all those scraps of paper are gone, then you turn to the second envelope, you open that envelope, start pulling out of that batch. And then again, once those are all gone, you go on to the third envelope and you go through those. I'm thinking probably 60 scripts. It may seem like a lot, but I really don't want you to run out. I might suggest that you make a double. You print all of those scripts twice. So you have envelopes 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6 if you need them. Because I don't want you to not have any scripts, and it's not easily, it's not very reliable that those scripts come back to you. Most people wad them up, put them in their pocket. At least that's what I've seen. So we do want this to be very, very mapped out. I want you guys to be very successful from the word go. I want you to start making matches with the third person that goes through the hub, that kind of thing. And in order to do that, they kind of need to come out in a certain order, and you need to plan that there's matches for everything. So again, very scripted. We will have weird injects from the city coming at us, kind of randomly. But again, pretty scripted, pretty smartly rolled out, so that we're practicing a lot of the things we need to practice, and we're successful. The other thing is the maps have been ordered. These large 2-foot by 3-foot maps have been ordered for all 10 of the activating hubs, plus another 10 hubs that have actually gotten their measurements to me, their north, south, east, west boundaries. So we will have those maps by June 2nd. So not this Friday, but next Friday. I would like to get those maps to you June 3rd or June 4th. So over the weekend, I will get to you scripts that have blank spaces, probably highlighted in yellow, where I would like for you to look at your big map and pick out an address. 9732 Northeast 104th Street, whatever. That address is physically on your map, so it is in your neighborhood. So you can take an address straight off your map, throw it into that script, and then print it up. And you're going to be dealing with scenarios that actually could be happening in your neighborhood. If there's a bridge there, I want it to be called the First Avenue Bridge, because that's the one that's closest to you. So it'll be a little bit of customization to your particular hub and what's sitting around that. And I'm going to get that information based on the map that you have, because I'm going to have them on June 2nd, and I'm going to write down all the specific stuffs about each of your hubs, and then I'll get them out to you. But anyway, I would like for you to take addresses off your map, throw them into these scripts, so that when they print up, they're very unique to you. I think that's most of what we covered. Everything else, I think, probably got recorded on the recording. So again, sorry for not catching all of it, but this is actually probably a much faster way to do it. Yeah. Any questions, any issues, please reach out. I am here to support, and I'm getting excited. So please do your part. Cindy mostly, but me a little bit, are doing high level kind of promotion. The city, King County, radio stations, public service announcements, all that kind of big high level kind of stuff. But we do need folks to reach out to churches, to schools if you can, to any kind of groups in your area, on Facebook, on Nextdoor, websites, community councils, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Boys Club, Girls Club, whatever kind of organizations you can think of. If you have any contact with them, great. If you have no contact with them, still send them a nice little blurb about what you're doing, send them the flyer, and ask them if they will share it widely. So I think that's it. Best of luck. And again, I'm here if you need me. Thanks. Bye.
Vests later. So what I'll do is just make, like pennies, let's use when you're ski racing, to pin on the vests we have. And
Sure.
those could be used later, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then does anybody have any stencils when you made something to label your tent?
I have 8-inch letters that I popped in the mail to Linda Norland today.
Oh,
And they're available to anybody with the little mini set of instructions on crafting a banner based on a certain size tent. And Linda sounds like she's very handy. So I think it's probably not a challenge for her, but anyway, that's where they're headed.
So
okay.
if somebody else wants them, I'll send them along after I use them.
Yes, I like them, Linda, after.
Okay.
Anybody else on the call interested in stenciling a piece of fabric to label your tent?
And is this
Okay.
the four tents? Education, information, whatever the other two are.
Well, there's just letters. You can do what you want.
Oh, they're just letters. Okay, so we can,
Yeah.
okay. All right,
Yeah.
great.
You spell
Okay.
out your own, whatever you
Yeah.
want it to be.
Gotcha.
I may need them at some point. I need to flesh out this idea of how I'm going to label my tent. So
Okay.
it's possible.
Okay. And Louise, what you labeled your tents, but I remember one of your tents said start here. So that's like your greeter.
The first tent is start here, and we used yellow fabric with red letters so that it was visible as well. And that was for the greeter information manager. Post here is the message taker resource supply manager. And then we used learn and volunteer. A lot of the people on the steering committee are educators. So all the words had to be action words rather than label words, which I actually think made good sense. So it's learn, volunteer. And then we didn't mark the radio tent. We've never done reunification and medical, but we decided to go for it. We're going to try it. So we put reunification in post here because we have missing persons there. And we put medical in with volunteer because we just thought that would be a good place to hang out. And we figured those people can help do everything as well as the job they're to do. So it's a try. We don't really know.
Does everybody have multiple tents? Because I can't even fit one in my box. I've just got one at home.
Yeah, Matt, maybe you missed that conversation. Go ahead, Pat.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I just have one table and one tent in my box. We have, this other box that isn't going to be set up. I'm going to borrow from, and then I'm just bringing from home probably 2 more canopies and 2 more tables. I'm just thinking that people in the neighborhood all would offer canopies and tables in the event we really needed them, nearby. So.
Mm-hmm.
We've had this conversation, but I'm guessing you guys weren't here. So this is my thinking. if it's an earthquake, folks are going to be outside because that's where you feel safer. Because it rains so much in Seattle, I'm not sure how willing people are going to be to give up their canopies. And if you have a really dense neighborhood with a lot of folks in apartments, I don't know that many folks have canopies to begin with. So, because I was always under the impression of, oh yeah, people will just, donate this stuff and we'll be fine. And we can get all of these hub jobs, these hub areas out of the rain with canopies donated. I'm not so sure that's all that realistic. So the next version of Hubs 2.0 has a box that's big enough for 4 canopies. So that's kind of if I'm helping people buy a hub going forward, that's what I'm encouraging them to do. We've got 2 different hub areas that are writing grants to get rid of their small box and get this bigger box. And it's not giant, it's not a huge box by any means, but the canopies fit in it really well. It's a 5-foot wide box instead of the 4-foot wide boxes. So kind of what we thought about for this drill was everybody getting 4 canopies and setting it up for the 4 different areas of the hub: the volunteer, the information, the supply folks, and the education areas.
Okay. Thanks.
So-
I didn't want to derail it. I just in these drills, or the drills and the education fairs, we always have a lot of tents, and I think that's good for optics. It brings people's attention to it. It's good to keep
Yeah.
people out of the rain or the sun. And just thinking, like, I don't think that's realistic in a disaster scenario for a lot of people.
What
don't
isn't
think it's-
realistic, Matt?
Yeah.
Just having a bunch of tents up here that are all going to be, in decent shape, decent quality, roughly the same size, that we could use to actually stand up a place. I think, to me, that just seems kind of like a lofty goal to have 4, because I mean the ones that I've seen are usually missing hardware. When they're deployed, they've got bolts missing, they're falling apart. In a breeze, they'll snap. So it's like, I don't know that it's super realistic.
Well, I think one of the things that we need to do is do a better job of maintenance. So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, when you're packing up, if something needs repairing, it would be good to note that and, get it fixed. It seems to me
Agree.
that if push is coming to shove, 4 tents is going to be necessary.
Yeah, I just can't store that much at my house, and I can't store any in my hub box. So
Right.
That's
So the
kind of what I'm.
Matt, the goal moving forward, after this exercise kind of thing, is supporting you to get a bigger box and 4 canopies if that's the direction you want to go.
Okay.
And you sell your box to help pay for the new box, that kind of thing. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I'd just like to offer and see what Bill has to say on this, or Matt. But if you just have volunteer info, supply, and education, you absolutely have to supply a tent for the ham who's going to be deployed there, because they need to be separate. They can't bring their own stuff a lot of times. So I'm not saying that we're not going to do a rabbit hole on this tonight, but you really got to be aware of the fact these folks will be deployed as they can get there. And they really can't be in a tent with somebody else going on. Maybe even not the GMRS operator unless they're far enough apart so they don't desense their radios. So just a thought.
Yeah.
So Frank, I have a question. Is ACS assigning each of our 10 hubs an ACS volunteer?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So we'll have 10 volunteers. Will they all be ham, or will they just use my GMRS or GRM, whatever that is?
GMRS.
Yeah.
They'll all be ham.
Okay,
ACS is going to deploy a ham to each hub. Okay? And they will have either handheld radios or mobile radios on battery power to help communicate with your hub with the city. And or
Perfect.
with the sector for that matter. There's going to be a north sector and a south sector.
Yeah,
Okay. But at some point, your ham deployed to your hub may get reassigned. He may be sent off someplace else to do some other task, radio related. So he's not going to necessarily, that deployed ham may not necessarily be there the entire 1 to 4.
mhm. Okay, so then we'll have opportunity to use our GMSR, GRMS.
Well, no, ACS doesn't use GMRS.
Right.
They're
Okay.
going to be using, 2 meter or 7 centimeter, 70
Okay.
centimeter, their normal amateur radio frequencies. So they won't be using GMRS. Now, if you want to communicate with other hubs, you can do so with the GMRS, but that's not going to be part of what ACS is doing.
Okay,
So yeah, you're free to use GMRS, but you won't be using that to connect with the EOC or with the sector who will be taking information from the city, that kind of stuff.
okay, so Anne, are we gonna have any hub-to-hub
Yes,
assignments? So we,
yes,
oh, okay, for our
Yep.
GMRS,
yes.
okay,
Bill,
And if you can make it happen, great. If not, not a
okay,
big deal.
okay.
Jody?
Bill, if each of the 10 hubs participating is going to have a radio person assigned to them, it seems to me it would be helpful for us if we could know who this person was and meet with them beforehand to get ourselves squared away. I
Well,
suppose that's asking too much, but I thought I'd throw it in the mix.
well, I need to explain to you the whole idea of deployment. The idea is that Friday night, 2 days before the 11th, they're going to announce, oh, we have this emergency, pseudo emergency. Who wants to be part of this exercise? And they will collect names on Friday night. On Saturday, they will make the assignments, and on Saturday night, they will inform those hams where you're supposed to start going to. And that may be repeated again Sunday morning as to this particular ham, this is where you go. Now, of course, right now they've asked who wants to be part of this and where would you like to go? So they're getting some advanced idea of who and where. But the actual play out of the exercise is at the last minute, we got a problem. Who's going to be part of this? Okay, now we know who's on the list. This is where we're going to send so-and-so, and this is where we're going to send so-and-so. And then, like I said, in the course of the Sunday afternoon, they may go to somebody and say, okay, go do something else. It won't be far. It won't be another hub. It'll be like go to some bridge or some location and report back to the EOC what you find. So I'm saying at some point the radio connection, the amateur radio connection, may be taken away from the hubs, and this would be at least halfway through the afternoon. Okay.
So we're gonna be figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
From the event, yeah.
See, but
So
the city is going to be giving out, messages. So
Yeah.
your ham is going to get this message and hand it to the hub manager saying, this is what the city has said. Because of this power outage, this is what the mayor's office wants everybody to know,
Okay,
type of thing. And so then you'll get this new message and you'll have to incorporate it into your information posting or whatever.
So let me give you a hypothetical. You need 10 radio people for the 10 hubs that are hosting this event.
Right.
If you had 20 or 30, you would be overstocked, perhaps. And so if we have a radio operator who's already in our hub, what is their first responsibility to volunteer through that network? Or can they not volunteer and come to our hub?
Well, let me just give you myself as an example. I've told ACS I am not going to be a ham that day. I'm going to be working at my hub. So they're not going to plan on me even calling in on Friday night and saying, I'm on board for this exercise. So even though I'm a ham operator and I'm with ACS, I'm not going to be a ham operator that day. Now, when we get into the GMRS, that's a little different thing. But so there's going to be another actual ham assigned to the West Queen Anne playfield, to my hub.
So you mean if I can find a ham operator and convince them not to register and to be at our hub to help us figure all this out, that wouldn't be too awful. Is that
No,
what you're saying?
that would be fine.
No, yeah, that's a great idea.
I mean, Frank and I are both ham operators, but we're going to be hub role people that day. So if you find someone who's into the amateur radio to be there as part of one of your hub personnel, by all means, use them. You know,
Yeah.
make use of them.
But
Go ahead,
shouldn't
Linda.
they be part of the deployment? I mean, so that central ACS leadership knows, no, just, okay,
Nobody gets deputized on the spot.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Linda.
okay, so we have only one ham operator in our hub, and and I would love him to be in our hub and not be taken away by ACS. But then if we have him there and another ACS person comes who gets reassigned halfway through, then will our ham be able to communicate with the city or no? Because he's not the ACS person for that day. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And part of the answer is no, unless they have actually connected with ACS and say, I now want to be a ham and this is where I'm at, you know, that they can maybe be incorporated on the fly, middle of the afternoon. But the general principle is 2 days before they put the call out for hams.
System.
The next day they decide where they're going to go. And then on Sunday, they go do their thing. But
So-
there may be some redeployment. But then again, I mean, we're talking 10 hubs. And I think, you know, I mean, there's 50 or 60 hams in ACS. But last I heard, there's about 20 people who have actually indicated they want to be part of June 11th. So you're
Okay.
right. Maybe they won't take away your one ham.
Can I just ask one last question, Bill? So if you're there in your hub, you're not being a ham for the day, what will you be doing then with the hub?
I'll probably be the hub manager.
Oh, I see. You're a completely different job. Okay, I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, okay.
But if you were the hub manager and someone else could fill that role, then you could do the radio.
Well, I could step out and then
Yeah.
contact ACS and say, I am now available to become an ACS ham for this exercise. But, you know, I'm setting this up the first time in years. I'm not going to want to do that.
Yeah, there's not enough time.
I mean, between Frank and I, maybe we'll pass back and forth the hub manager role.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's possible, but I'm not going to leave making this hub work. For
Right.
Right.
But if, you know, the other co-captain at Ballard is an ACS person.
Well,
So
they're
he-
either ACS
can-
today or they're not.
Yeah.
Well, he's gonna start out as the hub manager bit, but if all's going well and we need him, he could do that and call in and say, okay, I'm available and I'm at Ballard Commons.
Well, that's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome to do that. Jody, we need to keep moving.
Yeah, I'm
Frank, you
sorry.
had a comment?
Yeah, just a quick observation. The hubs and the hams are testing different things this time. One of the
Yes.
things the hams want to know is, out of the 150 members, how many are going to participate in this? How many can come in? They're trained, they know how to use a 213. You may have a ham at your hub who doesn't know how to use a 213, which could be an issue. The other thing is, you need to understand that when something really happens, of all the hubs that are on the screen right now, you may not see a ham for 2 or 3 days, depending upon, is there a ham healthy, alive, and able to be deployed to someplace in Magnolia? So don't think that every time you set up a hub, within 3 days of an event, you're going to have a ham there. That may not be the reality.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, they want to pull the hams because you have the hams able to go out and check on a bridge, because in a real situation, they're going to need one of their people equipped with the radios they need to communicate directly to go to a site and to confirm something and get it back, as opposed to having the neighbor go out, because they're going to have to get the who, what, where, when, and how of that bridge and get it in correctly one time. And to do that, you need somebody who's really trained to do it
Trained.
and do it calmly and well. So it's not to denigrate anybody else. It's just, once you move to that level of operation, you got to be able to do it at a certain level to be effective.
Thanks,
So
Frank.
we have to look at the
Two-
big picture. I'll keep that in
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, 2 comments. Because of what we're talking about, this is one of the reasons that we encourage everybody to foster, to sweet talk, to find and bake them cookies or whatever, to find your ham radio operators in your community that are not ACS. Because then you have somebody that's interested in your community that will step up and do what they can do for the community. And there's no fear of them getting pulled away. Like I said, nobody gets deputized to do ACS work after the disaster. You're either ACS before, or you're not ACS. So we suck up to our ham radio operators. That's number 1. Number 2 is, one of the goals of the ham radio operators, the ACS organization, for this drill is to test some kind of system they have for keeping track of where their volunteers are. So they are purposely moving them around because they are trying to test their record keeping system. So suck up to your ham radio operators.
Smoked salmon.
Okay.
Yes, good.
Any other concerns about the drill? Thoughts about the drill? Go ahead, Linda.
On Thursday night or at the hub captains meeting, will we be talking about the overall scenario of no power and what it includes?
Absolutely. Yep. You're going to get a much better idea of what some of these scripts might look like, because this is more than just we lost power. It's more than just electricity. It's a more impressive power outage. Sewers and running water and that kind of stuff is going to be impacted. Schools aren't going to be open on Monday, because if your fire suppression system doesn't work in a school, you can't have kids there. So one of the things we're talking about with the city is, how are you going to message that to the community that schools are closed? It is now Sunday, school is on Monday. What's your plan, city? How are you going to say that? And frankly, how are you going to get that out in all the languages it needs to get out in? But that's the city's problem. So yes, the entire meeting on Thursday will all be, it'll be drill and nothing but, pretty much. Okay, anything else? Yeah, go ahead, Louise.
I'm trying to imagine in my mind, when we've done these in the past, we haven't had huge crowds, so crowd control has been a very minimal issue. And that may be true again, I don't know. But if it's really a big crowd, our campus space is quite small. And so it will become an issue of functionality and possible frustration. So would there be some little chat about some of the things? I mean, if you make like lines or channels or ways that you might handle lots of people in a little space.
Wow, I hope we all have that problem.
I don't know that I will, but I think about it.
Yeah. Does anybody else have a concern like that?
Our
Yeah, I
space
think-
is big, but I just found
Yeah.
out we have 10,000 people in our area. In the Ballard Commons
Sure.
Hub area, there are 10,000 people.
Yeah, probably not all coming, but go
They're
ahead. Pat.
probably not all coming, but it makes the whole task seem kind of big.
It
Yeah.
could be big, yeah.
Go ahead, Pat.
At Luther Memorial Church, we used to try to use a space on Greenwood in front of the church, which was grass and it was uneven. And now we've moved to their parking lot on the other side. And it's great for the radio operators because they have a covered area there that's just kind of part of the structure. But the rest of the parking lot on a Sunday, you know, I've already gotten permission from them and they hope to be out of there by 1 o'clock. Isn't huge, and I can see possibilities of a bottleneck there, but I just think we're going to have to, maybe I'll just bring some tape and something to direct people in and, you know, keep them moving. I don't know, but or chalk
Go
on the
ahead.
ground, follow here.
That's a
footsteps.
good idea. Yeah. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, my concern is not so much about the space, like square footage, but just the grounds themselves. Our hub is located, I think I mentioned, like right on a basketball court that's pretty heavily used and adjacent to, like pickleball and tennis. And people are always there, so I'm pretty confident we're not going to be able to just take over the whole park on a weekend. So my plan is to kind of use the grassy area that's nearby. But I spoke to the community center staff, and they said that they don't even know if it belongs to the city Parks and Recreation or if it's attached to the Seattle Housing Authority building. I tried to reach someone at Parks and Recreation, but they don't answer their phones and their contact forms don't appear to go anywhere. It seems from reading that if you have an event that is advertised, you need a permit. It's kind of like a blanket rule they have. So I'm a little concerned about causing problems.
Okay. So for everybody that's located in a park, I submitted one group permit a while back. Oh, yeah, Mary Kate's with the SHA. So Parks knows about this. Matt, are you in a park? No, you're Ravenna Community
I
Center.
believe it's Seattle Parks and Recreation that owns the community center and
Okay,
the grounds nearby.
okay.
But I don't know of a definitive way to tell. I looked at the parcel viewer, and I'm pretty sure it's all the same city property.
Okay.
But yeah, and I think the area that I'm planning to put tents up would be not a problem. But yeah, I don't
Okay.
want to run into any issues.
All right. I have to go, guys. I have another meeting I can't be late for. So Mary Kate, can I get you and Matt and myself on a email string and we can maybe work through that? Okay. Fabulous. Thank you, Mary Kate. Matt, does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. But like I said, a blanket permit has been requested of the city. I've talked to John Hyenga, the guy in charge. So for those of you on Parks property, you're covered. Whatever that means.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Any other things really quickly?
Can I come pick up my posters tomorrow from your
Yes.
house? Can you leave them out and I'll just grab them?
Yeah. Pat, can you
Okay.
send me an email just to remind me? That'd
Okay,
be great.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate your time and I'll
Thank
see you
you.
on Thursday.
Thanks a
Okay.
lot.
Thanks, Ann.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.